Today on episode 158, I am joined by Leanne Ayin, the founder and CEO of All Heart. Leanne has always had a keen interest in sport and social change. She's held some senior roles within organisations such as Harlequins, Manchester City Football Club, Fulham Football Club and the Premier League. After 14 years of working in this professional sports industry, Leanne felt that it was time to give something back. She built and founded All Heart. As an organisation, they support players and athletes to use their power, wealth and influence to have as much of a positive impact on the world as possible. We've all seen the stories in the news about some of these players, some of these celebrities and some of their egos. Leanne's about to reveal the reality behind those stories. We cover that and much more on episode 158 with Leanne Ayin, CEO and founder of All Heart. Enjoy, my friends.
I did a huge amount of work with Michael Carrick, and he is, again, an absolutely wonderful guy, one of the best. And he was really clear about where he came from, how he wanted to help, what the purpose was. It made complete sense to me. This is brilliant. He had a really strong cause.
Leanne, welcome to the Always Best in Yesterday podcast. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you, Ryan. How are you?
Very, very good. I know that time is precious. I know that little one is having a nap. So we get to have this great conversation. And you're from the southwest of England as well?
Yeah, I am. I'm in Cornwall currently. Grew up in Cornwall. I moved away for 20 years, so lived in various places, and I've just a year ago moved back to the motherland. So
how does it feel to be back?
It's great, actually, and it's just lovely to be able to see my family more often, to be able to walk on the beach, do all of those lovely things. So yeah, not regretting it at all.
Great. I want to hear all about your amazing organisation, but before we do that, I understand you're via the Southwest, via New York. Tell us a little bit about your early career.
Yeah, so grew up in Cornwall, and my main love really was sport. And down here, there's very little exposure to professional sport. So you've got Exeter Chiefs now, who are great, and they weren't really particularly big when I was growing up. You have Plymouth Argyle, Plymouth Albion, so I sort of went to watch those with my dad. I'd like go to anything I could. And I didn't really get to see a lot of sport live. So growing up, I just got involved in as much as I could. I'd sort of lived at the local sports centre. And then when I was old enough to go to uni, I just had a real desire to go out and see more and experience more. So I did a 3-year degree and sort of thought, wherever I can go to see more, experience more, get more involved in sport, I'll do it. And my career sort of took me on a journey. And when I was growing up, I was very much told, well, if you want to work in sport, you can be a PE teacher or a physiotherapist. I was given those two as my only options, and I was like, I don't want to do either of those things. So I just thought I need to be open-minded, just need to see like what experience I can get, what I can find, and it just took the opportunities I had and moved to London, moved to Bath, moved to New York, moved to Manchester, wherever I could get the role that would give me the experience I needed. And by doing that and just being quite open to picking up my life and taking it where I needed to, not only did I get some great opportunities, but I also got the real football bug, because I'd never really experienced live football before. And as soon as I did, I couldn't get enough. So I'm now a big football fan, and finding myself back here, I'm now sort of getting itchy feet, because I can't, other than match of the day, there's not much on offer. Hey my friends, thank you for watching so far. If you're enjoying what you're watching, please do subscribe to our channel and considering sharing this with someone that you love. I also wanted to let you know we've got some incredible merchandise available. We've got tees, we've got hoodies, we've got trucker caps, and our beanies are really popular at the moment. For a great way to show that you're part of this community and that we are always better than yesterday, head to our website. You can check it out in the show notes. And let's get back to the interview. Yeah, of course. And I know that you've held some, prominent positions at clubs like Fulham and Harlequins and Manchester City in the Premier League. But the roles have been all very specific in one particular element of sport. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, sure. So I always knew that I wanted to get involved in sport, but I always had more of an interest in the community side of it than sort of selling the front of shirt deal to Siemens or Samsung. And I a few times got offered the opportunity to move into that commercial world for probably a lot more money. And I just couldn't sort of make that leap. So for me, I think football clubs and football players, and other sports as well, have a really unique opportunity to make a difference and to influence the lives of others, because their platform is so huge. And I just felt such reward and warmth from enabling those huge corporate businesses to change the lives of children in poverty or young people with disabilities. And it just, for me, was the right fit for what I wanted to do, because it combined that love of football and sport with being able to help people. And I've kind of remained in that niche ever since, sort of falling into it. And like I said, no one told me this was a career opportunity. And I'm really interested now in going back and telling more young people, just kind of stick to your guns, because you don't have to fit into a box. You can find your own niche.
I love that. I live 10 miles down the road from Bath, and we've been very fortunate. I coach my son's rugby team. He's 9, and we've been very fortunate enough to have Bath in the community, the community foundation come out, and it's really impactful, and it can really leave good lasting legacies, the memories that these kids get. And here's the other interesting thing. I think sometimes sports people have a perception, a public perception.
Yeah.
And I know that you will have worked with particularly many footballers who I think sometimes have a worse perception, particularly with the amount of money involved. What's your experience?
I think there's a really warped perception of professional athletes. I think football players, yes. Some rugby players are up there in terms of earnings and therefore get the same response. My experience with professional athletes is that they often really want to do a lot to help, but because they get dragged through the mud, whether they do good or bad, they almost go, do you know what, I'm just going to stay out of it. I've had players before who have, for example, donated £50,000 to an amazing cause, and then just got completely trolled on social media for like, you only did this for publicity. You shouldn't have given it to those people. You should have given it to us. And it's like, by doing something really lovely and selfless and actually for all of the right reasons, they just get completely obliterated. And it really does put people off supporting causes. And I think the media are just, not helping this. So you mentioned Bath Rugby, and I've done a bit of work with Danny Cipriani, and I have to say he is the most kindest, genuine, lovely person. He's so committed to learning more, being a better person, seeing what he can contribute to the world in a really positive light. And it's only the media that has created the person that people believe. And it's upsetting for me, because I know some of these people and I know how wrong it is.
Yeah, I mean, I do love Danny Cipriani. I think he's very authentic. I think he's very willing to be vulnerable in the desire to help other people, particularly around mental health. I just wish we'd win a few games this season.
I can't help with that, I'm afraid. That's one thing I draw the line at.
Well, it's sad when you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I think because we just got to look as far as Marcus Rashford and the heat that he's taken in the pursuit of getting kids free school meals. Let's look at the heart of that. And it's a bit of a sad situation when it becomes easier to do nothing than something.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the reason we set the business up, because we knew that without the correct support and advice, players wouldn't have the confidence to kind of dip their toe. And, Marcus Rashford, amazing what he's done, but he's done that because his agency, Rock Nation, have done all of that, like investigating and building the campaigns and creating the stories and making it easy and not risk-free, because obviously, like you said, he'll take a load of flack, but
Mm.
he's had the support that has given him the confidence to do the work.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the agents that I work with will very honestly say to me, I'm completely comfortable doing a transfer deal or getting him a commitment from Nike, but I don't know what advice to give him. So I tell him not to do it. And I'm not putting any blame on the agents, because they're actually saying it's not my area of expertise. And actually, a lot of agents and agencies have been very welcoming of us, because we're not trying to be agents. We're not trying to steal their clients. We want to help as many athletes do good as possible. So it's a bit of a difficult situation for both athletes and agents if they don't know someone who's got the expertise.
Great segue. What is the name of your organization?
The organization is called All Heart.
I love that. And that is what first attracted me. Some of these things I just don't ever know when the first time I see, but I know that when I do see, it's like I need to have that conversation. I'm very fortunate enough to have a podcast to say, hey, would you like to come and chat? And I'm very grateful for you taking the time out of the day. Clearly, we're very like-hearted human beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what does All Heart mean to you?
To me, I think the reason we used the phrase was about, if you said kind of in a slang sort of fashion, he's all heart or she's all heart, we all know what that means. We mean it's a good person, they're generous, they're kind, they'll want to help you. And a bit like you were saying about perception, that's not the natural perception of many professional sports people. So we wanted to kind of change that. And we talk about our clients being all heart and promoting that and saying, they did this, it was so all heart, they're amazing. And we want that to be the work that we do, but we also want to change the way that people feel about athletes, because it's just not accurate. And it's like we said, this media creation of these monsters that spend all of their money on Louis Vuitton handbags. It's just not the truth.
Yeah, and I guess you're coming at the intersection of good people wanting to do good things with the resources they've acquired.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing that comes up for me with All Heart is trying, because it's that authenticity. It's finding something meaningful. It's finding something that they have a genuine passion about. Is that something that you experience many people kind of come to you with that clarity already?
It's a real mixed bag. So I've had athletes come to me and they say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And I always say to them, why?
Yeah.
And if I can't understand the link between themselves and the cause they want to support, nobody else will. So I'm like, until I get why you want to do this, then let's just hold it here. So I'll always go back through people's purpose. So for example, I did a huge amount of work with Michael Carrick, and he is again an absolutely wonderful guy, one of the best, and he was really clear about where he came from, how he wanted to help, what the purpose was. And it made complete sense to me. I was like, I get it. I'll be able to explain it to other people. The community are going to get it. This is brilliant. He had a really strong cause. But there are other people that I've met and they've kind of gone, yeah, I want to help some kids. And I'm like, okay, that's not really going to cut it. And, when we've gone back through their history and their purpose and their reason, actually, they've had a family member with cancer and they're really passionate about that. And we've ended up channeling their charity work into that instead, because that's a cause that not only do they believe in, but other people will understand their connection with. And like you said, if the work doesn't appear authentic, people won't support it. And it also doesn't help that public perception of like, this guy's just doing it to say he's giving some money to some kids. Whereas if it's, this guy lost his mum to breast cancer and now he wants to give back to the people that helped her, that's a lot more meaningful and people will really understand that and get behind it.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And then I think once we've tethered ourselves to our heart, then we can use the mind for what it kind of really is good at. Because I had a lady on from an organization called the Heart Math Institute, and she says that intuitively, we don't say I love you with all of my mind. So it kind of reveals to us, you know, when you said that phrase about, oh, he's all heart, it kind of reveals to us that the heart and the mind have different functions, different purposes. And one of the things I've seen on your social is that you talk about being laser focused. What does that mean?
I think this is personally what I've learned in my experience. So I've worked in charity and sport for nearly 20 years now. And what I've really learned is that if you sort of scattergun your goodwill, people don't really get it or believe in the cause. And I have to say, I think the work Marcus Rashford has done is amazing, but he's beginning to lose focus. So we've got free school meals, we've got literacy, we've got all sorts going on now. And I think if I was advising Marcus Rashford, I would be staying in one lane and being really clear about why and what needs to be done, because people will always remember him for that. They will always get it. And actually scattergunning, you know, I want to help old people, I want to help disabled people, want to give money to the library, I want to help cancer. It loses its focus, and I think it loses its focus for the person doing it as well. So, for example, Michael Carrick was brilliant in terms of knowing what he wanted to achieve. So if the BBC interviewed him, there was one story, there was one purpose, there was one reason he was doing it, and he could speak from the heart about that cause. As soon as you start giving to every cause and trying to be everything to everyone, that becomes very hard. You lose your strong purpose, you lose your strong message. And I think that's why we always say to people, be laser focused. And, you know, working with Danny Cipriani, for example, he knows what he wants to achieve. That's not going to change. It's not going to falter. And that focus gives him a lot of reward because he can see what he's achieving towards that. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where we were going with that tip.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I'm thinking you started off at Man City, you then helping a Man United legend. Are you still welcome back in Man City?
Do you know what? It was funny actually, because there's a lot of very important people in my life who are big Man United fans. And it did not go down well at all when Man City offered me a job. And I left Man City, and very shortly after, my husband, who's a very big Man United fan, actually proposed to me, and he said, I was just waiting until you finished working at Man City. So I'm now much more comfortable in red, as you can see. So yeah, we're definitely, we've moved over to the red side of Manchester, that's for sure.
I understand husband used to work or still works part of Social Chain, is that correct?
Yeah, he was part of the founding team there, which is really helpful for me because all social media related questions go his way, and we do a lot of online campaigns for players who want to fundraise or get awareness out there. So he is a very helpful resource and gets all sorts of questions from me.
Yeah, so will you be branching out and helping business owners and entrepreneurs with their charitable giving, or are you sticking in your own swim lane?
Do you know what? I'm staying in my lane, but I'll always give I'll always give my free advice to, you know, if a business owner or an entrepreneur wanted to do good work, I will always help, because I just think the more people doing good work, the better. Whether I get paid or not, that's fine.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really interesting because I love a good motivational quote. And in doing some research, I saw that you shared this one quote probably a while ago now, so you might not remember, but it says, your greatness is not what you have, it is what you give.
Yeah.
That's something you believe wholehearted?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we see it with the players all of the time. You know, and when we say give, we're not always talking about money. So your give could be what you give that day on the football pitch, or it could be the shirt that you give to the young person in the stands afterwards, because this player giving 100% on the football pitch, that then teaches the little boy at home that if he gives 100%, he might be able to do something. So I think the kind of misconception with charity work is that you have to get out a checkbook and write a check for £1 million, but it's not the case. It's about being a role model. It's about giving your time. It's about giving your thoughts, your advice, your knowledge. So we encourage players to kind of give in all ways. And it's not just about kind of the money that they can pass on.
Yeah. I love that. And it's a real, I'm real torn with this next one. The paradox of sharing socially your giving. And I understand that to inspire someone else to be giving, they need to see it in the example.
Yeah.
But there are many people in my local community. Maybe I used to do soup kitchen, like,
Yeah.
and with a couple of friends. And um, that was something I kept very private. But I
Yeah.
was always torn between how do you inspire someone else to get involved in helping if you're not talking about it? How do you kind of balance that social
Um,
presence?
I think that's the point these days. I think maybe 10 years ago it wasn't so important, but
Mhm.
now everything is across social media.
Mm,
And since COVID, especially, a lot of charities are really, really struggling.
mm,
It's been a really difficult time because no one's been able to run live events.
yeah.
And I think if you can use your platform, even if you've got 200 followers or 500 followers, one other person might be inspired to either support that charity
Yeah.
or to do something completely different that supports a cause that's important to them. So I think if people are going to, like the client that I said kind of got attacked for giving £50,000,
Mm,
if people are going to have a problem with that, that's on them. That's not on you. And I just think if you want to do something privately, that's absolutely completely fine, because not everyone wants to share what they do within the charity space because it might be for very personal reasons. But I don't think anyone should ever be kind of taken down for sort of their
yeah.
sharing of what they do, because it could just inspire someone else to do the same.
There we go. That's the ripple effect, isn't it? And I think the thing that I'm really conscious of here at Always Better Than Yesterday is that when we bring our heart into the world, we have interactions with people on a daily basis, and that then creates a ripple effect. And the world uses a word called legacy. I call it a heart print.
Yeah.
I think we leave a heart print on the world where people, communities, teams, or whoever that might be, are left a little bit better through our bringing our heart into the world.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on legacy and impact?
I think it's hard because I think legacy has become a word that's kind of become slightly overused.
Mm-hmm.
Back in, oh God, long time ago, I was the director of legacy programs for the 2012 Olympics in the Southwest. And we talked, I mean, the word legacy probably got used about 200 times every day. But I agree with you. I think it's about leaving the world better than it was the day before. And just making sure that what you're doing has a sustainable impact, because sometimes people want to leave a legacy, but it's not actually a sustainable one. So you might do great work that makes someone happy for a week,
Yeah.
but 10 years down the line, are they back where they were before?
Yeah.
So I think it really is thinking about the future in a really long-term way. But yeah, I think legacy's kind of got a little bit overused and has become quite a corporate word. But I do think that if you're going to do charity work and you're going to support someone, you do need to think about what is the impact that it will actually leave, because if it's not going to leave any sustainable impact for the long term, then is it worth investing in at all?
Yeah, I love that. And I think along with that will come an element of consistency, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the things, as well as sort of being authentic and being laser focused. That's one of the things we tell all of our players. So for example, if you're going to support a breast cancer awareness charity, don't post about it every day for a week and then not bother for a year and then be like, oh yeah, that thing I was posting, because it doesn't make a difference.
More of a campaign than a cause, I guess.
Exactly. Whereas if you said, right, every Tuesday I'm going to post something about this that's meaningful to my followers, then it will start to have an impact. So it's just about keeping on. And like we said about Marcus Rashford, I would be advising him, free school meals, this is your thing, feeding children, helping with poverty. Stay on that, be consistent, keep that your message, and just keep chipping away at that one thing. Because if you just do one thing really, really well over and over again, you will leave a massive, massive impact. So again, if you're out there, Marcus, these are this is my free advice.
Yeah. What does it say on your jumper? Oh, yes.
Can you read it?
Yeah, I can see that. Kind, generous. So for those of you that I forget that I have a podcast, stand up again. Let me see it again. Let me read it. All heart idiom. A person with a kind and generous disposition, they are all heart. You need to sell those because I need to get one.
I'll post you one. That's
That
no
would be
problem.
amazing. I will wear that with great pride.
Yeah.
What does the phrase "always better than yesterday" mean to you?
I think we touched on it a little bit
Yeah.
before, but for me, it's not about me personally being better than yesterday. It's about how we leave the world and those around us. So whether that's going up to a lady in a coffee shop and saying, "You look lovely today, I love your shoes," or whether it's giving, £1 million to a breast
Yeah.
cancer charity.
Yeah.
I think it's about thinking about your actions and how each thing that you do, like you said, leaves the heart print. It leaves the world in a better place. And if it doesn't do that, then why are we doing it?
Yeah. Funny, isn't it? Because the first thing that came up to me is that always that anxiety of telling someone is that awkward interaction, isn't it? And it's easier not to.
It is, and some people look at you like you're absolutely bonkers. Yeah. I remember not so long ago I was in a cafe sort of restaurant place, and there was a woman really struggling with her little boy, and I've got 2 children, and I was actually on my own at this point, didn't have anyone with me, and she was really struggling and people were looking at her. Yeah. And I just went over to her and just said, something really, like, you're doing a great job, and don't, like, nobody minds, it doesn't matter, don't worry about people around you, like just keep doing what you're doing, and he's the most important thing. And she looked so relieved that someone had just gone, "It's okay, like all these people aren't judging you," because there's lots of things in the world that are scary, but actually being a mum and having a screaming child and 50 people in the restaurant can be quite difficult. And sometimes it won't be well received, but like we said before, that's on them. If you give a compliment and people aren't happy about that, you've done your bit, and you can't ever change people's reactions to you.
Yeah. Well, it's next level. It's all well and good creating an intellectually driven business, but when you label yourself all heart, it's amazing to hear that you are an embodiment of that, and so goes the ripple effect. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I will be sending a jumper your way. So.
Well, we should do an exchange. I shall pay you back that way. But I'd just be honoured. Actually, where can people connect with you? Where can they find more about All Heart?
So we're across all social media platforms. It's on Instagram, Be All Heart Ltd. So if you find us there, you'll probably be able to then connect with all of our other platforms from our Instagram. Or you could contact us using info@beallheart.com. So if you want to get in touch, find out more, or have a chat with us, then we're more than happy. We love talking to people about this kind of stuff.
I'll share all the good links in the show notes below, and just be honoured if you'd leave us a final thought from your good self.
Oh, a final thought. I think my final thought, kind of linked to some of our conversations today, is to never judge others. Like I said, I've got players that I work with who have terrible reputations in the press, and I know them personally. I know the work that they do. I know the money that they give to charity. And I think sometimes there's a lot of good in everyone, and you just have to look for it, and to not kind of take other people's views or the media's perception as being real. So I would just challenge everyone to kind of wipe what you've heard, what you've thought, what you've seen, and start over, and sort of give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Great advice. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're welcome. It was lovely speaking to you.